Is everyone able to see my screen now is a good question.
Yes, we can see the first quarter thing up there.
Yep, we can see it.
Perfect. Okay, so we're got our very first meeting for 2021. I'm just going to kind of go over the beginning agenda. We got the opening business. It'll give us half an hour here to kind of go over the changes, what's new, and how we're kind of running these meetings. Then at 9 o'clock, we got the REST API discussion that Dylan and Hasso are going to be talking about.
No, that's Dylan and Justin.
Okay, Justin's going to be in there, not Hasso. Okay. Then I have Bill and Calvin doing the inventory presentation at 10 o'clock. At 11 o'clock, Dylan and Fred are doing updatable dashboards. Based on popular demand from last year, we're actually going to do a half-hour break for lunch. And I figure we'll just open the floor for open discussion for the half hour. So if anybody wants to stay on and just converse or kind of do a lunch and discuss at the same time, we can do that. At 12:30, myself and Karen will be doing finance. And at 1:30 this afternoon, Bruce and myself will be doing the production, going over MRP and scheduling. And then the beloved panel that is kind of becoming larger and larger as we grow from 2:30 is the Stump the Chump. This is going to be open Q&A session. Have a field day, whatever topic is on your mind, definitely go ahead and bring this out. It is not something that has to be one of the topics of the day. We can talk about anything in the Stump the Chump session. We had on the original, I think, invite 2:30 to question mark, but we're going to try and limit this to around 4 o'clock. I know at the last meeting last year, the November meeting, I want to say ran until almost 5 o'clock in the evening. It was a real long session with the Stump the Chump. We're going to try and tone that down a little bit. Anything that doesn't get covered in the Stump the Chump session will become the immediate topics for the Stump the Chump session in May. So after the meeting, we always send out surveys. We ask you for what topics you'd like to see or have presented during the meeting. During the Stump the Chump, any questions that don't get answered, we just roll that over as the beginning questions for the Stump the Chump session. So I took all of the surveys and all of the extra questions from the Stump the Chump and built, this is what the panel will be talking about first. There were questions and emails that came in as late as this morning that still made it into the presentation for today. And we'll have those topics for everyone to discuss about. There were about 25 or so leftover questions. So that'll be a pretty busy session here this afternoon. For our new business area, just kind of want to introduce, make sure everybody knows from the Iowa User Group, we have Christine Fierce. I'm here with the Illinois User Group. Beth Rye is from the Michigan, Indiana User Group. Bruce is from the Minnesota User Group. Scott Williamson is out in Winnipeg. Erica Straker is with the Kentucky, Southwest Ohio. The Northeast Ohio is Shannon Clark's area. The Eastern Pennsylvania or Central Pennsylvania is Doug Oswald, and then Western Pennsylvania is Michael Cromer's group. These are the people that are helping to lead and bring this as a multi-regional user group. We're still trying to get people from Southern California. I haven't heard from Jennifer Curley lately, so I don't know if the group is still meeting or if they're still together. If they wanted to bring their team in as well. And we also had some inquiry from outside the country since this went virtual last year, where people are saying, we're not part of a user group. There's nothing out here in our area, so can we still be part of this? And that is yes, we'll still turn around and allow anyone in. The only requirement to being part of the user group was that you're an Epicor user. So while we do have the regional groups, and I have a feeling once COVID's over, some of the local meetings will start getting back together and having local group and the face-to-face interaction, we'll still continue most likely to have this virtual forum for everybody to get together and collaborate as one. One thing that we did notice when the call for topics went out, is it was getting routed into people's spam and email folders. So we didn't hear from a lot of people until we picked up the phone and called them and said, hey, we didn't hear if you had any topics you wanted to present or things that you wanted to put into the presentation. We found out we were going into spam folders. So please double check your emails to make sure that the email isn't going into your spam folder and that you are getting the communications. We do the call for topics. Fred, are you there?
I'm here, yes.
He has a better handle on the time frame. Generally around 6 to 8 weeks before the meeting, we try to get the topics put together. So around 10 weeks before the meeting, we'll send out a call for topics. 6 to 8 weeks, we'll send out the reminders that the meeting is coming up. Generally around 4 weeks before, we have the topic set, the presenter set, what's going to be proposed at the meeting, and what topics are going to be covered in what time slots. Just try to make sure that the regiment always follows the same course. So even though the meetings, we try to space them 12, 13 weeks apart, the emails really start coming a couple weeks after the meeting.
Okay, Calvin?
Yes.
Josh Owings from the Southeast Regional User Group is also on with us today. I apparently missed him in the registrations. I'm sorry, Josh.
We will get you added in here, Josh, and also turn around and add you to the user group. What I would like to do is get a group put together where we sit and actually talk on the phone or in one of these virtual meetings as the leaders to kind of figure out, okay, what are the topics? What's the direction? How do we want to kind of guide where we're going for the year? And it's something that I know we do this a lot in email, but it's probably better that we all collaborate together. So it's something that I'm probably going to reach out to the user group leaders and see if this is possible that right after the meeting, maybe a couple weeks later, we have a user group chairpersons get together and talk about, hey, what are the topics? What were the things that went well? What were the survey results? Where do we want to focus? And how can we best serve the group? What areas do we move forward? Full disclosure, I know there's been a lot of stories. I've heard Coda Bears was shutting its doors. Coda Bears was going out of business. We left the Epicor partnership program. This is all that we ended up doing. We weren't meeting our sales goals. We weren't selling Epicor software. We ended up leaving the Epicor channel partner program. We're still going to be supporters of the Epicor software, the same thing that we've been doing for 25 years. We just decided it was best we go separate directions since we weren't meeting the numbers they wanted. Moving forward into 2021, our future dates have already been established. We're going to be meeting, it seems like Thursday was the favorite pick. May 20th is the second quarter meeting. August 19th will be the third quarter meeting, and November 18th will be the fourth quarter meeting. If you want to go ahead and mark your calendars, these are already set. We'll go ahead and get the topics and the presenters put together and the details more fleshed out for each meeting. But the dates have already been selected, so this is what we have set for the rest of the year. For this meeting, again, what we did is we took all of the surveys that were filled out after the meeting and the requests that people had, and we grouped them together by which was the most, or which area had the most survey questions or topics requested. We took the top ones and then we went looking for presenters to handle those areas. So people were asking, since we had a problem with the spam and the emails being misdirected, we ended up going back to the surveys and said, okay, these were the things that were chosen. So this is how we picked the topics for this meeting here in February. A lot of people were wondering, it's like, if you're not getting feedback on the emails that we sent out, how did we select it? So we ended up going back to the surveys, categorized all of the survey responses by topic, and then those were the areas that we targeted, and this is what we ended up hitting. The remaining items that were on the surveys is what I would like to talk with the user group leaders about and say, okay, which ones do we now focus as to for the May topic, and then August, and then November. With that, that's kind of all I have here for the new business.
If I can, Kelvin,
Oh,
just a reminder to folks, if you've got a question, there should be a panel on your GoToWebinar where you can type in a question like Josh Owings did. What we'll do is the presenters, we'll let them continue presenting unless the question's very pertinent, exactly where they're at, like, hey, we can't see your screen. Otherwise, we'll save all the questions for the end of the presentations. We've left about 5 or 10 minutes on every presentation for people to ask questions as well. There's a gap between every presentation in case it needs to run over due to questions. So please feel free to put those in there. If your question can't be answered during the presentation, we will be forwarding those out so that the presenters can answer those, and those will, all the questions and answers will be part of the minutes that go out. And I'll be forwarding those minutes to everybody who's attending today, as well as to the group leaders so that they can forward those out to their membership who possibly couldn't attend as well. This meeting is being recorded, and we will have the meeting broken out into separate videos. We'll put that out on the YouTube channel. And I just got a question, is there an email address you can give IT to search for possible blocked or filtered emails? I believe our MailChimp is what we're using. And if you'll give me a few seconds, I believe it's coming out as emug@codabears.com. But let me double check that just a second here so that I can tell you the exact thing. I've got to find a past one here.
come on, Fred, you're taking all the fun out of it. We'll email it to you.
It's EMUG.
Oh.
It's EMUG. Yours is EMUG.
Yep, it's emug. Thank you, everyone.
I'm like, come on, let's turn around and email it to Tim.
There we go, and it's posted in the answers for the questions for you, Tim. All right, that's all I had, Calvin. I'm sorry.
Awesome. I don't have any other. Christine, Beth, anybody out there have any other things to bring up for new business today?
No, we're good from the Iowa side.
Hey, are you guys warming up yet?
What'd you say?
Are you warming up yet? I'm like, I know it was a heat wave for me this morning. I'm like 20 degrees. Wow.
It's getting there. I think we break 32 on Saturday.
You know, it's
Beth?
sad when positive numbers on the thermometer are happy zones.
It's been crazy.
We're in the land of freezing here, so. Yeah.
And I guess one other point, I do have everybody but the panelists muted. Panelists, you can mute and unmute yourselves as you do your presentations and answers. If we do run into a question that does require dialogue, I can unmute the individual attendees. The reason we're doing that is so that we can cut down on the background noise and try to make it a little bit better.